Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. Going live on a Tuesday afternoon. Why? Because it's not week one of the Raiders NFL season without something wild, wacky, and crazy happening. Chandler Jones, one of the greats at defensive end. What he is, these days is up for discussion, but largely a disappointment last season. He started to come on a little bit later on as the season went along. But now it looks like he's off his rocker. He went to Instagram today and did all kinds of stuff. They won't let me in the building, though, trying to provoke and he said a word there that neither I nor you can say. But there are some African-American men that can say that word.
I've been given plenty of bomb cards, and I don't use it.
Good.
Just because. I don't know if it's going to get revoked like on a whim, and I'm going to catch myself in between. It's just...
There's I forget the stand-up comedian that did the bit, and I want to give him credit, and I apologize for forgetting his name, but he had this bit where he's like, yeah, man, I got the hall pass. I got the pass to say the word 10 times, and I blew every single one of them on one game of NBA Jam. And it was such a waste.
Right? It's man, look, you can burn through a good fucking 6 years worth of cards in like one 90s gangster rap song.
Yeah, do you need a pass to do that? Like if you're just singing to yourself in the car to the exact word, to the exact lyrics? You got to do one of these.
Far be it from me to tell anyone else what to do with their life. As for me, I just don't do it anyway, just because.
You are a social hero.
Yeah, I just don't want to get caught up.
So we put that on Insta.
It's something dumb to get caught up on.
And then he posted this. How do you expect me to play? This is all on his Instagram. How do you expect me to play this season? I can't even get my GM on the phone. Thanks for that portal. Should I call Josh? Or will he not pick up either? Why y'all bring me to Vegas to play with me? I sent this to your roomie. It's a shame that I'm a top athlete with 112 sacks in the NFL and I have to go to a local gym to work out during the season for no apparent reason. This is wild to me. Josh, and you know it. You need to do what's right. Chandler also doesn't believe in punctuation. Also, on his Instagram, this is all today. This is all this morning. He also posted on his Instagram story, fuck it. I don't want to play for the Raiders if that's my head coach or GM. I want Patrick Graham, Ivy League, a word I can't say. I want to have a powwow with Antonio Brown and Alden Smith. That's a real meeting of the mind. That's a Mensa meeting that I would love to be a fly on the wall for. And so if you're thinking, you're like, all right, maybe he got his Instagram got hacked. I've had my Twitter hacked twice. I can imagine. And I'm a nobody. Imagine having an NFL Pro Bowler and Super Bowl champion. You have a chance to hack their social media. What would you do with it? So you're like, oh, maybe that's what happened, right? Maybe he just got hacked. Nope. Not the case at all, because he posted a video during that time. Posted that, and then a video in the same grouping with a video of himself.
I'm good. He said, I'm good.
I'm good. It's definitely me. It is definitely me there. So it's looking like, according to Chandler Jones, that the coach is refusing to let him work out at the facility. I mean, Josh McDaniels is a lot of things, but I can't imagine a head coach of an NFL football team saying, no. I don't want my guys working out.
There has to be a reason why that either was not communicated properly. I'm gonna cover all angles here. I doubt that it wasn't communicated properly.
Okay.
Or he doesn't agree with, which is probably the latter. He doesn't agree with the reason why he wasn't allowed. I highly doubt that he just showed up at the facility and found out at the facility that he wasn't allowed to go in.
Well, the idea that, like, no, Chandler Jones, we don't want you getting an extra lift. Really? Like, is there a single football coach on planet Earth that's like, I don't want my guys getting an extra session in the weight room? on their own time. That's clearly not the case. So this is some, you know how like when I remember when we had a roommate, my wife, when we were renting rooms out in my house to a friend of my wife's, and they were getting at each other's throats. Like it was getting old, it was getting tired, they were getting sick of each other. And then our roommate had a couple friends over for like a couple days. And when they left, my wife blew up on her friend. She's like, all these friends over, and they used a whole roll of toilet paper. Like that was really a big deal. Like, they used 82 cents worth of toilet paper, and that's what's ending your friendship? No, it's just the last straw. It's like problems have been brewing this entire time, and that's the thing you want to go off on, right? So this
breaking news. Just on Twitter.
Okay.
Chandler Jones has unfollowed the Raiders and Max Crosby.
I thought he unfollowed them a while ago. Am I losing it?
I don't know. Chandler Jones has unfollowed the Raiders on Instagram, and he doesn't follow Max Crosby anymore either.
But isn't he still following Hunter Renfrow?
Everyone loves Hunter Renfrow, bro.
Right? How can you be mad at Hunter? Old ass looking man, old ass looking young man, Benjamin Button motherfucker.
Look,
so
man.
This is just why go scorched earth if there's something brewing under the seams, right?
There are a lot of different ways to handle stress, and trust me. Look, I'm gonna get serious for a moment. I'm gonna get serious for a moment.
Hate it when you do that.
I know. I've been in a situation where, for a reason out of my control, I was no longer able to do what I did before. I was recovering from a head injury from a car accident, and I didn't work for a while. I couldn't work for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And the depression is real, especially men in this country. We identify very closely with what we do for a living. Now, you see a Chandler Jones who came back quite a bit thinner than he was the previous season. He missed, almost 2 weeks of practice before he came back to practice with an undisclosed injury. There was no designation to his injury when he was out. He was just out. Maybe not being that same player he was, because all he's identified his entire career or his entire life is a football player.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. That's a tough mental thing to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
You have that, plus there's some, rumblings around there being a possible trade or something. I don't know if there is or isn't, but there's I'm just throwing darts out there. There's speculation out there. Maybe, brought in by a brass that when you're on the downswing of your career and the people that you know and you trust and you've played for before, bring you in to be that guy, weren't that guy, doesn't look to be like you're going to be that guy, and they move on from you for whatever reason. That could be something that's really tough to wrap your head around and really tough to come to terms with. Then you get into a little bit, this is not the first time he's had some issue, it's all playing out in the media. It's all playing out live, right? It's all playing out in real time. All those things have been taken down. It's probably, Chandler Jones's people saying, take that shit down. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah. All this stuff was deleted, by the way.
All the stuff has been deleted.
Shortly after.
But it's like, we need to just take a step back and let's not fully blame Chandler Jones for XYZ happening. Let's not fully blame let's not go fucking, I don't give a shit anymore because this guy is a piece of shit. And he's really pissing me off. Let's not go Wi-Fi Willie on this. And let's not be like, oh, Josh McDaniels is an evil man. We have no idea what's going on here. I'm concerned for.
I was going to say, I was wondering what it would take for you to get really pissed off at another creator, and it has to be coming down on Josh McDaniels.
No, it's not about coming down on Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, it is.
It's not. If you want to be really pissed off at you can do exactly what you're doing right now, which is spreading bullshit.
Calling it as I see it?
No, spreading bullshit.
Okay.
It's idiotic to do. All it's doing is it's stirring up anger in half of our fan base when we should be coming together for the season to start. And just it's like you're doing this thing and it's irresponsible. It's absolutely an irresponsible thing to do, to start pointing fingers and laying blame when nobody knows what is going on here. That's what pisses me off.
Well, look, I can. There's a couple things here, and we're making it a Josh McDaniels thing when it's really a Chandler Jones thing. But I think you wanted to touch on this, so let's touch on it. First off, everything that happens under the team falls under the head coach, right? So anything, it's like, right, like to varying degrees. But if anything happens with Raiders players or on the team, it reflects on Josh McDaniels. Good, bad, in the middle, indifferent, black, white, gray, doesn't matter, right? It's into that. So there's something there. Two, we're starting to see a little bit of a common thread, right? I think someone just tested on that. Jeremiah Rose, the Waller issue, Carr. You made a bigger deal of the Carr thing than anybody. Now this Chandler Jones. Things are getting weird. Things are getting outright wacky with this roster and with this. From when it was under Rich Bisaccia and John Gruden 2 seasons ago, we were talking about how like the biggest kumbaya locker room in the NFL. Like it got through the hardest shit. And now you got Carr bailing with 2 games to go. Darren Waller, maybe coming off the wagon, whatever, right? Like definitely being a detriment to the team when he never was before. Chandler Jones going off his rocker. It's all kind of like, this is happening. This is real life happening. Mm-hmm. And whenever that does happen, it reflects on the coach. Is it 100% Josh McDaniels' fault that these guys are losing their minds? No. But it's literally his responsibility to keep his players in line and keep all this stuff from going off the rails. And it has. So I think there's enough. I think Josh McDaniels deserves a share of the blame. I don't think he's 100% responsible for this, but
how can you say that if you don't know what's happening?
Because if you're the head coach of a team and this shit is coming out and being weird, it's under your responsibility. It's under your issue, right? Like if you're the governor of a state and anything bad happens in that state, that's on you. Whether you caused it or not, it's your responsibility to keep things smooth. And things haven't been smooth under Josh McDaniels.
I think when I agree with that, but I think we can also agree when you move philosophies and players that have been entrenched in different philosophies, and then you move into a new philosophy, and those players not only were leaders with the old regime and the old philosophy, but also underperformed with the new regime, there's going to be some butting of heads. And sometimes you need to crack a few eggs, man. And for the most part, I think a lot of this stuff has been overblown. But again, we don't know what's going on here. Like, okay, I hope this is not the case, because I really do wish nothing but success for Chandler Jones. I hope it's not some kind of mental episode. Because if it is, how is that any of the regime's fault? How is that any of the front office's fault? It's not. That's what I'm saying is there is a scenario here where it's not anybody's fault. It's just something that happened.
There's another part of this too. Remember this in 2016? That Chandler Jones episode when he was smoking that like synthetic marijuana. You know that shit that like military guys smoke because you don't test positive for it? Remember that in 2016 when he was on the Patriots?
Yes.
I remember this vividly because it was also when his, I cover UFC, when his brother John Jones was always in trouble back in 2016. And it was like, they were like him and Arthur Jones, the oldest brother, like he had popped for PEDs. John Jones had popped for like DUIs and, all the shit that he did. And then Chandler Jones got popped with this all at the same time. It was like, geez, the whole Jones family's losing it. So basically what happened, if you don't remember, Chandler Jones in 2016 showed up to a police station in Massachusetts, like Foxborough, when he was playing for the Pats, was like losing it mentally, shirtless. This is January in like 7 a.m. in Massachusetts, shirtless, sweatpants, wandered into a police station, and officer said it looked like he was like praying, like on his knees, like doing wacky shit. They went to his house and found synthetic marijuana, and he tested positive for like synthetic marijuana. And he just like lost his mind. I'm wondering if this is like an episode like that, where it's nervous breakdown, like kind of like you mentioned, a substance issue maybe that he's had in the past, something like that, that could have caused him to just go scorched earth out of nowhere on social media and then delete it all.
I mean, yeah, I want there to be more, and I want to be like I give better content than we don't know, so we shouldn't say, type of thing. But ultimately, I want to give a lot of like different perspectives because there's a lot of things that can be going on here. Fully blaming one side or another, or one person or another, that's irresponsible, man. We don't know what's going on. And it seems to me, from the abrupt change in attitude from yesterday, pumped up, year 12, let's get it. 2 pair of Tom Ford sunglass cases in his hand. This is for Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler for another seat. That was a day ago. That was yesterday.
Yeah.
That he tweeted that Chandler Jones tweeted in his hands I don't know if you guys have freaking bought anything, Tom Ford. It's not cheap. Okay. Especially when you're Chandler Jones, he's probably going to give him some pretty nice shit. And why would he then the next day say, I'm not going to play for these guys? I'm not defending one person or another here. I just don't know what happened. And I think it's irresponsible to point the finger at one person or the other.
Well, I can't say I think it's fair to speculate that it sounds like something was brewing for a while and then something came to a head and that's why he went nuts, right? Clearly he didn't go nuts just because he couldn't get into the
something's going to be brewing. What about I'm buying my coach and the GM of a pairs of expensive sunglasses 24 hours ago makes you think that something's been brewing? Like
maybe he cheated on him and he had to get him a nice gift so they deal with it, right?
Old man, that has been debunked. Chandler Jones actually filmed a video saying that he's good. And another picture of him burning a picture. This is him.
Right after all this happened, like right in the same Instagram thread of stories was him filming himself. He definitely wasn't hacked. It's not the case.
And then we got this. This is your boy. You go ahead and read it.
Carl Schreffler, stop defending the clowns. Josh McDaniels is getting fired again. He's no genius. He's not Bill Belichick. He was an assistant to Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Josh never ran anything. I mean, I'm not going that far, but I think we are starting to see.
You're not going that far, but you're stoking those flames for the people who do think like that when we have nothing to base anything off of.
No, this is a pattern, and this is absolutely true. That the locker room went from full kumbaya 2 seasons ago to issues. Now, again, I'll repeat it again. I'm not putting all the blame on Josh McDaniels. I don't think he went in there and just like farted in the locker room and walked away and had everyone smell it and get pissed at him. I think but everything that happens in that locker room is on him. Everything that happens with the team is on him. And the Derek Carr situation, nobody won. The Darren Waller situation, nobody won. This Chandler Jones situation could be big or little, depending. I mean, these are all things that have happened. I'm not stoking anything. These are all factual things that have happened. And there's a pattern now.
I don't see there being a pattern. I see you connecting dots that may necessarily not be connectable. You have a kumbaya locker room because there was no leader there. There was no leader 2 years ago when John Gruden got let go. The team had to become the leader. There was no leader above. Versace was a guy that just walked in there. He's like, you know, I know the offense too, right? Like, no, you don't know anything. You walked in there, and the team ran that team.
Yeah, okay? He was an emotional leader.
Yeah,
No, he
so
was
the
an
team
X-Nose
ran
guy.
that team, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so you have that. Of course, yeah, if you're going to be like really gung-ho about your team when you're the guy in charge, okay?
Okay.
So look, and like I
So
said
you're saying
before,
that all these players, the
I'm not
implosions
saying
weren't.
that. See, look,
Okay.
see, now what you're doing is you're going the exact whole opposite of what I'm saying. There's a lot of space in between here of what's going on.
Okay.
Look, the team moving on from the old quarterback, the team moving on from a player who didn't want to follow the rules, that type of shit has nothing to do with what's happening right now. You're trying to connect dots because players were used to a certain thing and they come in here and now they're being told, look, that's how the old regime handled business. This is how we handle business. And on
I'm not
top of
willing
that,
to. I'm not wash. I think you're too quick to wash Josh McDaniels' hands.
I'm
of all
not,
blame.
dude, I'm not, I'm
Feels that way.
saying it's irresponsible to point that finger if you don't know what happened. Now, once we find out what happened, then we can say, okay, yeah, that's a fucking problem here or that's a problem there. But right now, we don't know what happened. And for you to point the finger at anybody is not responsible.
No, I'm not pointing the finger at anybody. I'm saying anything
You're
that
saying
happens
he
on the
had-
team. No, you came out right. You brought up Josh McDaniels. I didn't. I did not bring up Josh McDaniels once. You
What
did.
does it, what
He's
does it matter who brought him up when you're freaking talking bullshit? That's irresponsible.
Well, bullshit. I pointed out that there's been 3 really bad player personnel handlings under this new regime.
How is okay? Look, first off,
fact.
That's not fact.
It is fact.
It is not fact.
You got nothing for Carr, crap for Waller.
What does that have to do with dealing with Chandler Jones right now?
And now we have this.
What does that have to do with that? I'm asking you a question. What does that have to do? Look, I think it was smart to not let Carr play the last two games of the season, because if he did get hurt, we would have to owe him the money regardless of what your church boy wants to say about, I wouldn't have taken the money. We know that's total fucking bullshit, okay? So let's just push back and let's just take a look at it for what it was. It was a smart play by a front office not wanting to get themselves hamstring into keeping a player that they weren't going to keep. Waller was a fucking headache. And if you want to absolve the player from their behavior, that's on you.
I'm not absolving. Now you're putting words in my mouth. Now you're putting words in my mouth.
I have not heard you say one time anything that Waller did in the situation. All you've talked about is what the front office did wrong.
This is why. Because Waller still gets his. Waller's not hurt at all by any of this. Waller's fine. He still gets his money, still gets to play football. What does Waller care? Waller came out smelling like roses. The Raiders are the one ended up getting squat
smelling like roses
for
to
Darren
people
Waller.
like you who refuse to hold him accountable for his actions.
What does that matter to Waller? He's getting paid and still
It
playing
matters
football.
with the opinion that you have. Because if you're only talking about one person being at fault for something, whenever anything pops up, it's like, oh, there's something else that he's at fault.
We've had this conversation. We've already agreed that we had to move on from Waller, that it was a problem. God forbid. I hope we hope we're wrong.
Both sides of the story, RJ. Then give both sides. What you're doing
The point is
not
the
today.
Raiders were left getting squat for Waller.
Not today.
Fact. Not today. But these are, you're talking about, you brought up Josh McDaniels. It's like, well, you can't blame him. I'm like, okay, anything personnel related, anything team related, there's a level of responsibility for the head coach, right? There's been a couple instances where there's been personnel related issues. And at some degree of that is on the head coach. What degree is that? I'm with you. We don't know. Especially Chandler Jones. This is all coming together this afternoon. I'm not saying anyone is more or less at fault. There is a level of responsibility with Josh McDaniels with his players. I said no more, no less than that.
I don't know about that.
Fair?
I don't know if we can agree with that.
Okay. Well, we can move on.
We can move
on.
So
moving forward, right? Let's say worst case scenario. This has gone to shit with Chandler Jones. Whatever that's been like maybe brewing under the surface has come to a head. Shit's popped off. That hypothetical, right? It is. I like how this is going down like the week of the first game. Like we're 5 days away from kickoff. And this is when this all goes down, right? We can't move on from Chandler Jones. Not possible. Way too much dead money. We're not going to cut him. We can't trade him. Way too much dead money. He's sticking around. The only thing that we could potentially save ourselves from is if something along the lines of him being like so detrimental to the team, some kind of breach of contract, something wacky like that where we can lose his contract, which
that's
is
never going to happen, dude.
Rare, which is very rare.
Football hitting pussy is not going to give us any breaks.
Well, if it's in the contract, there's nothing you can do about it. And if he did something that breached that contract, then there's that.
This is very interesting. Mr. Dwayne Thomas. Hello, Dwayne. It wasn't irresponsible for Gruden when you blamed him for Ruggs, Arnett, AB, Trent Brown, etc. So
we blamed it. We 100% blamed him for those things. We 100%. How many times have we gone?
I think he's flipping it. He's saying, well, why is it not Josh McDaniels' fault now? And it was his fault. Okay, I'm going to tell you something why. Because Ruggs was racing around in his car and the team knew about it for years. Mm-hmm. His rookie season and the season that he got popped. Okay? So that is, if we know that they knew about it, which we now know that they did, and they didn't do anything about it, you're basically saying it, so you're condoning it. Arnett, Mayock said so himself. He did a lot of research on Arnett because he had a lot of baggage. Mm. And that is his fault. AB, everybody knew about AB. Everybody. Now, I'm going to tell you something right now. The Steelers did a really good job of keeping it away from the media, but people knew what AB was. And Trent Brown was just a way overpaid piece of shit. So if you want to give him a pass, I'm not even giving Josh McDaniels a pass right now. I'm saying don't point the finger at him until we know what happened. If it's his issue, if it's his fault, then yeah, fuck it. It's his fault. He doesn't walk on water. I'm not even married to the guy. If we want to go in a different direction, I think it's going to suck because we're going to undo a lot of the stuff that we've done unless we keep Ziegler around and he keeps building the team. But dude, I even told you last season, I don't give a fuck if we get rid of fucking Josh McDaniels. He don't fucking pay my bills. It's not about that. It's about waiting until the shit comes out.
Well, I think the Antonio Brown example is a good one. Mike Tomlin did an amazing job of keeping under wraps how insane Antonio Brown was. Like we all kind of had heard whispers, kind of rumors. He's kind of an outrageous personality a little bit, but we had no clue until he's with the Raiders. Unfortunately, with the Raiders.
God, that was terrible.
When the true crazy came out, calling Mike Mayock a cracker and freezing his feet off, and now he's beaten off in pools all over the world in front of chicks, right? Like it was. So that is a great example of a brilliant personnel coach like Mike Tomlin, that when he has arguably the best receiver in football, but one of the biggest liabilities mentally in football, he was able to keep it all together. He was able to get production out of Antonio Brown without him like just cutting the locker room in half and embarrassing the franchise. Okay. So that's a great example, right? Can Josh McDaniels do that? Take an Antonio Brown and keep it all under wraps, maximize what he's capable of. That doesn't seem to be a strength. He's an X's and O's guy. He's not a people guy, right? So I think that's another, again, before you blow up, before you have an aneurysm,
no,
I'm not putting all this on Josh McDaniels, but the evidence seems to be that stuff like this is not Josh McDaniels' strong point. Is if Chandler Jones is kind of losing it, if there isn't a rift in the locker room, that's not what he's known for. Hopefully, that's what Dave Ziegler's good at. We talked about it in the last show.
And that's why he brought it in. And we heard about it in his interview.
He's such a people person. Guys like him. I say it all the time. Like
Bussin' with the Boys interview. Yeah, that's what he said. Like, that's why he brought him in.
I say and it's I say it all the time. Like Josh McDaniels might get fired and Dave Ziegler might stay. Not that Ziegler's doing an amazing job, it's because he's so likable. Like people don't want to fire people they like. Like how many guys are at every job in the world and they kind of suck at their job, but the boss likes them. The coworkers like him. It's like, all right, let's keep this guy around. That's
like RJ with boxing on Fox. What was it called?
PBC.
Yeah.
They doubled up I had to train the new guy, and I did only last a year on that end, which kind of had to work because I had to go UFC anyway. But yeah, maybe I definitely think there's part of that. Like, look, if I was an asshole, they could be like, all right, RJ, you have 2 weeks to train this guy and then bounce. Right? But if I did a good job, they liked having me around. It's like, okay, we got room in the budget. We can have two guys doing this job. It's because they make everything better, right? That is kind of the Dave Ziegler situation a little bit. He might end up sticking around because people like him so much. That's the negative side. The positive is he's that personable dude that makes up for Josh McDaniels, not faults, but like what his strengths aren't. And that's being a people person.
Mm-hmm. You want to address this?
Yeah. So we'll do it on this video real quickly. I don't think it's related at all because like it's funny, right? Because when news breaks simultaneously,
it can be because if people really think that we have 17 mil available, they may think it may be because of some kind of trade, and maybe Chandler Jones is upset about that or something like that.
So it would be really, really like a great hidden secret if they knew Chandler Jones was an issue trying to trade him, and they did all the work to get Jimmy G's contract restructured, and it all came to a head simultaneously. Possibly. What's more likely is they were working on this for a while. One, the Raiders up until this point were roughly $7 million over the salary cap. So they had to do something. They had to do something, right? 17 mil for Jimmy G means there's roughly $10 million under the cap. So that's just the right number to where it's like, okay, you want wiggle room. You don't want to be like exactly at zero, but that's a lot of wiggle room.
Yeah.
And that's a, right? Like that's Josh Jacobs' wiggle room. Like that's a lot of wiggle. So it's right at the weird amount where it could just be like a lot of space because they want to add stuff, or it could be we're going to make a move and we need 10 mil. It could be one or the other.
Yeah,
I don't know which one, but yeah. I think the big thing to remember is it's not $17 million in open cap now. It's we had to get under the cap, and we just happened to go like really under the cap.
Yeah, stop the cap.
All right, so we'll keep you abreast of what transpires with Chandler Jones moving forward. Very weird situation. It could go in a lot of different directions. We don't know who to blame as of this point, but we do know there are a few things we know for a fact. Unless there's something insane going on, Chandler Jones isn't going anywhere. He's not getting traded. He's not getting cut. We owe too much. There's way too much owed to him. That ain't happening. The other part is whatever's happening, you better fucking get solved by like before Sunday. It's week 1. We're heading to Mile High on Saturday to play on Sunday. This isn't like weird preseason nonsense where you get it out of your system in July.
I think a lot. We can tell a lot by how the team comes out. If we don't get any more information on this Chandler Jones thing, because like it or not, the Raiders seem to be pretty fucking tight-lipped about shit. Mm-hmm. So if nothing really comes out, we can tell a lot by how the team responds on Sunday. Mm-hmm. Wait a second. Code 17. You want to tell them about dead cap?
Yeah, it's still like it's like 12 mil, 13 mil.
12 something this year and 13 something next year. So it's a lot. It's a lot of money.
And who's going to trade for him with that contract?
Nobody.
No one.
Nobody.
Like it or not, he's sticking around. All right. Well, that's it for us. We're going to start. We're actually now going to immediately record our podcast. That'll come out tomorrow on YouTube and on wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll keep an eye on this whole situation as it continues to unfold. Until then, knock on wood if you're with me.